Winter, slow to let go of Revachol, flecks some more wet snow from above. The snow falls lazily, making the beach sand paler still, mixing with the rust-colored sewage runoff. And to think, it seemed as though it were already spring. You're warm in your hat and your coat. Like a well-equipped explorer, you comfortably survey the white landscape. More winding coastlines lined with abandoned buildings, crumbling piers, salt water lapping at their dark piles, grey and red forgotten city blocks, what remains of the pre-revolutionary effort to gentrify the coast. The waters turn black, coal city in the shadow of Saint-Martin, a boomtown, back when coal extracted from countless shafts near the city was needed to power Revachol. No more. The coal was supplanted by petroleum from the ocean floor and hydropower from the Esperance. Everything crumbled. These days, only the weakest remain in Coal City. Their hopes of getting rich linger in the defunct shafts under their feet. Below the old mines, l'Océan Municipal, Revachol's underground cemetery, Le Petit Rat, braved the underground passageways, trying to get to Le Royaume. Children under 14, they go underground looking for artifacts to sell to foreign museums and for fabled relics. Their parents let them. They go deeper. After rubies, melchiorite, lapis lazuli, plundered from Safle and Seol during the time of the suzerain, in the burial chambers of the kings, Grand old Philip, Guillaume II, and even in the mausoleum of Philip the Opulent. 2 kilometers underground, in a winding shaft along whose walls mirrors have been placed, so that daylight may eternally fall upon the richest of all the kings. The mausoleum contains untold quantities of gold, and that special, purest of the pure magenta cocaine, favored by Revacholian royalty. How can it be pure if it's magenta? Snow falls, and there is no answer. Some things are not for mortals to know. Few Petit Rat return from the shafts. Even fewer find what they're looking for. A small child steps out of the black tunnel with silver trinkets in her pockets. All around her, white snow on the extinguished coke furnaces and on the weather-worn shacks where fathers beat their sons after drinking. The snow melts on your fingers, turning to water. The canal you crossed to get here and beyond it. Martinez proper, the district the police forgot to police. There is laughter, lights, attempts at entrepreneurial activity, cynicism. Someone is scraping snow off their windshield at the roundabout, in the midst of which a statue of Philip III serves as a destination for grade school field trips and a fine perch for winter birds. Like all monuments, it's also a warning. 6-story ruins on the south side of the roundabout cast a long shadow over the profligate king. A fenced-off yard. There's a truck belonging to a logistics company parked next to the gate. You've heard about it. Bright light from a building behind the fence reflects off its hood. Clean white light coming from the windows of a clean cube-shaped office building hidden amidst ruins. A secret. An abandoned church that's being turned into a dance club. 4 youths are hard at work there, making it ever harder core. A serpentine strip of land weaving its way into the Martinez Inlet. Unfortunates on the run from the law, from themselves. Sometimes hide out on nearby islets. Little dots in the ocean that are occasionally submerged when the tide is high and the weather foul. The remains of a camp on a jagged piece of rock, a tent, old dishes and cutlery, long since abandoned. A hermit crab scuttles among the debris, looking for a new shell. Further out, the lights burn bright on Resurrection, way beyond Martinez, a popular spa destination for ample-bodied Ozon kids with equally ample pockets. Then there's Ozon, but the snow falls too thick. You cannot see that far. The Bay of Revachol, vastness, great depth, over 1,200 meters at its deepest. Water, air brinier than here. It is crisscrossed by huge cargo ships bearing company logos. Wild pines, Zam, Mauryan. And at the farthest reaches of the Bay of Revachol, the shadow of the coalition warship Archer, on perpetual patrol duty, ready to unleash artillery fire if you were to rise up against the market. You shudder. The raised motorway 881, with vehicles whooshing past one another day and night, while those who reside beneath the motorway attempt to carry on with their lives in the snow and the slush. And south of the 881 is the Pox. Was once a park, a place for reflection and recuperation for the patients of the old military hospital. In the 20s, it was used as a quarantine center during a measles outbreak that killed many children. Most everyone has avoided the hospital and surrounding park ever since. The Pox is completely wild now. Evergreen thickets covered in snow and industrial dust. Feral dogs and even wolves roaming in packs. The police try to keep the deepest corners cordoned off. Heavy drug users do slip through and hole up in the old military hospital, hoping to find something to get high on among the hastily abandoned supplies, or just to overdose in peace. A line of motor garages with armored carapaces hunched in the cold. A mechanic is hard at work, patching up bullet holes in the side of a Capri 40. These are the garages of Precinct 41. Snow settles on the roof of the repurposed silk mill. It serves as your station. Shivering RCM personnel hurry in and out of the main entrance. Around you, the snow continues to fall. To the west, the ocean swells. The stairs descend to Central Jamrock. A man named Cooklove has a snow-covered stall there in the market across the bridge. He sells kebab infested with fly larvae to your colleagues who believe eating it will make them immune to food poisoning. Snow falls on the utility district, the library, the florist, the Sarah Mauritian restaurant that offers homemade wine, and also on the brothels and drug dens and the chop shops of the Zemlyaki. All of this built around a lake that formed in a meteorite strike. At the center of this lake, there is a little ship. There are lights at the bottom of its hull. They are lights directed toward the seafloor, looking for something, like whiskers. A chill comes over you, crawling down your back. The sand under your feet is wet. Somewhere in the south, tarpaulin flap in the wind. Near, snow falls into dark water. She prays, though she doesn't believe. There is a hum in the air. That's all. Layer upon layer of sand, poisoned with industrial runoff, the storm drainage, hidden bunkers, rats scuttle. Someone stuffed a big old polar anorak into a concrete pipe under the boardwalk. It would keep you warm. You will probably never happen across it, but who knows?
We should keep moving. Who knows when the snow will let up?
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't look like he knows what that means.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a dye? I'm sorry. I'm a bit overloaded just now, so I can only produce one dye per customer. You mean the curse that I'm spared of because I live outside its immediate reach? I'm listening. Excuse me? A 2mm hole in reality? This can't be true.
I'm afraid it is, ma'am. Sona Lukanen-Kill, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident, made the discovery.
Sona is involved in this? So it's even worse than I thought. It's not just the commercial area that's cursed, it's the entire world.
She looks outside the window where daylight has filled the yard.
Just Martinez? In any case, thank you for stopping by. It's good to have an answer, even if I can't claim to understand it fully.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People. Okay, but please, only a few questions. You wouldn't want to disturb the spirits. Yes, the Simonees are very crafty, and their wards are extremely powerful. Lesser wards simply won't do here.
The woman looks aloof, her features much softer. Occasionally she glances at her daughter's silhouette.
What do you mean, the actual source? Are you talking about the third presence?
She remembers. Good.
What?
Ma'am, what he's saying is true. We found an anthroponetic anomaly in the small Pinewood church down the coast. I don't mean to be an alarmist, and more research is needed, but it's not looking good.
But that's not in any of the ancient texts. How am I supposed to protect my bookstore from that?
She's too afraid to even say the word.
You're right, officer. I mustn't lose faith, especially now that Annette is finally settling in at school and making friends. No, we can't just leave. Besides, didn't I have some Sailite hope catchers round here somewhere? I must find them. Everything will be all right if I can just find them. Thank you for your help in any case. You're welcome back here any time.
Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring the supposedly stalwart Vespertine detective, Dick Mullen. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels. Your attempt to grasp at the answer fails. It seems very close by, pulsating just out of reach. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels. Your quick eye notices a small caterpillar crawling across the spine of a book. The title reads, Dick Mullen and the Mistaken Identity. A worn paperback from Dick Mullen's classic Hard-Boiled Phase. The premise seems to be that Dick Mullen is framed for the murder of his best friend and has just a few days to prove his innocence. Could it be the motifs of unstable identities and shocking betrayals? Then this is the book for you.
Of course. Such violence and immorality. I mean, enjoy.
In your hand, you hold Dick Mullen and the mistaken identity. The brittle paperback feels fragile to the touch. The cover features a pastiche of different scenes. In the foreground, a man in a dark overcoat clutches a pistol to his chest. Rising up behind him are two silhouettes wrapped in a passionate embrace. The tagline reads, "Detective Dick Mullen must prove his innocence after an old friend is murdered by someone who looks just like Dick Mullen." That seems to sum up the premise nicely. Needless to say, it violates nearly every RCM regulation for a detective to investigate a murder in which he is a suspect.
Are you really reading that, detective? Well, you won't find it in there. Those books are much more about ravishing dames and gunplay than real police work.
The story opens with a knock at the door. Detective Dick Mullen is greeted by an old friend, Charlie Spillane, who's come to Mullen to ask a favor on this dark and cold night. Spillane needs Mullen to drive him in from Vesper to a small town along the Insulindian coast. Despite his friend's apparent agitation, Mullen does as he's asked, then returns home where he passes out drunk, as he does most nights. An extremely unprofessional and hurtful stereotype that's offensive to all upstanding officers of the law. 2 days later, Mullen is arrested by the Vesper police and charged with the murder of Charlie Spillane. At his interrogation, Mullen learns that Charlie Spillane was shot in a bar in the very town Mullen dropped him off in by a man matching Mullen's description. Desperate to clear his name, Mullen manages to convince the Vesper police to release him for 3 days so that Mullen may solve his friend's murder and prove his innocence.
What's the matter, detective?
The lieutenant shrugs, resigned to the idea that his profession will rarely, if ever, be accurately represented in art and literature. They're not shitting you, detective. This is what the writers think passes for police procedure. Of course, Mullen didn't do it. That's the whole premise of the book. Anyway, Mullen returns to the seaside bar where Spillane was murdered and meets a beautiful, mysterious woman named Diana Deneva. And not just any dame. She's truly one in a million, a knockout whose mind is as dangerous as her curves. But she's got a secret. Secrets are the currency of human relations. Deneuve reveals that she was Spillane's lover and that he was mixed up with a local amphetamine smuggling operation. As soon as Mullen begins pulling at strings, the whole conspiracy begins to unravel. Not only is the local police captain in on the amphetamine ring, so is the son of a powerful politician and a strung-out art collector named Torvald, each of whom has his own reasons for wanting Spillane dead. Outwardly, the old police captain is a real law and order crypto-fascist, a barrel-chested man who's beaten his share of suspects to pulp. But he's also dirty and increasingly paranoid that someone's going to expose his role in the drug ring. He would certainly have the motive and the means, but the captain walks with a noticeable limp from an old war injury. Is it possible that he was able to conceal it long enough to commit the murder? A typical privileged twat. In all likelihood, he's just in over his head. He does bear a personal grudge against Spillane, though, a former prosecutor who nearly brought down his father's administration. The kid doesn't exactly have Dick Mullen's manly build, but he is the correct height, and while interrogating him at his home, Mullen did notice a certain overcoat that looks suspiciously like his own. Torvald, the art collector, is a strung-out mess. Frankly, it's hard to imagine him holding a pistol steady enough to actually hit someone, let alone plug them 3 times in the chest the way Spillane got did. That said, Torvald and Spillane have a long history, and while interrogating him, Mullen discovers that Torvald was once involved with Diana Deneuve. Could it be that this is all over a sordid love triangle? One evening, Deanna Deneuve comes to Mullen's hostel room in tears. The two of them drink half a bottle of vodka, and soon they're seeking comfort in each other's arms. Yes, comfort and pleasure. The warmth of another human's touch. The burning taste of liquor on her full, sweet lips. Well, that testimony won't be admissible any longer. The man's a prosecutor's nightmare. Solving a murder counts for nothing if all the evidence gets thrown out in court over police misconduct. That's just Dick Mullen's modus operandi. He might bend the rules, but he closes cases like no one else can. As the two lovers share a post-coital cigarette, Deanna Deneuve turns to Mullen and says, "By the way, Dick, there was something else I meant to tell you. I love you." The name of the true killer. Always aim for the center of mass. Whatever it is, Mullen never hears the words. A blow to the base of his skull knocks him out cold instantly. When Mullen comes to, Deneuve is dead on the hostel bed next to him. To make matters worse, his clothes are covered with her blood. Mullen trashes his blood-stained clothes and flees the hostel, knowing it's only a matter of hours before the cops discover Deneuve's body, if they haven't been tipped off already. Fleeing a crime scene, destroying evidence. Even if Detective Mullen didn't commit the murder, he should be facing years behind bars. Dick Mullen won't be sent to the clink for the sake of some legal niceties. The heat is on. If Dick Mullen can't solve both murders before the cops catch up to him, he's going away for life. Can you solve the case before the cops close in? What is it, Detective? It's a dangerous line of work, but somebody has to do it. That's why Dick Mullen never lets anyone get too close. What's the matter? Afraid you've been hacking up your friends' bodies in the night? Have you gone over everyone? Is anybody missing? There was never a time when he wasn't a detective. He was born a detective. For a moment, you cease to read the story on the page and see the book for what it is. A collection of brittle, cheaply printed pages held together by glue made from the hooves of horses. From nowhere, you hear the screech of sneakers on a waxed floor, and you feel the burn of rope against your hands. Are these figments of some other life? You won't find the answers you're looking for here, in other words. Is it really so evil, Detective? Then why are you still here? Just make sure you don't lose him. You'll not find another like him. It's true in more ways than you know. But then, what does this book know? It's just a poorly made piece of pulp garbage made to be consumed and discarded. So, who did it, Detective? Who killed Charlie Spillane and Deanna Deneuve? Could be. Who knows? Only one way to find out. You begin furiously flipping through pages. Even as you know these books follow a series of well-worn tropes, you find yourself completely engrossed. You're turning pages so fast, you don't even notice the ancient spine coming unglued. You try to grab the pages as they come loose, but your fingers aren't quick enough. They're gone. Dozens of pages scatter across the floor. The last fifth or so of the book seems to have been lost. It's possible that you could gather and reassemble the pages, but it would take way too long.
Ah, yes. The problem with mass-market paperbacks. They are not made to last. Perhaps this is a sign that you should get back to solving your own murder, huh, Detective?
In your hand, you hold 4/5 of Dick Mullen and the mistaken identity. Paintbrush? Check. Heavy fuel oil? Check. Now the only thing left to do is paint the wall. The paintbrush in your hand is like a loaded revolver. What will it be, Desperado? Quite a few things come to mind. You've spoken. The wall will now silently repeat the message for a decade or so, until the sea air degrades the paint, adding another layer of detritus to the city.
Very poetic. Real poetry. Should we return to our murder investigation? I hear there's a really bad one we are supposed to solve.